I think actually Alicia's story path is probably the most interesting out of anyone. Like story-wise, apart from the main story, which I think is probably the most interesting one, funnily enough. Alicia's is the most interesting one after that. Then we're getting into territory like Li Wen and Wen Xiaoren's story isn't interesting per se, it's just very tragic and sad, but not necessarily interesting. Jimmy, who cares? Park Sang-gun was alright. Carlos, I honestly can barely remember most of what Carlos has been doing. Spotty, I mean, it's a cat. It's not really that interesting. Chang Yeon-min, and Kang Baek-ya, also interesting, but not necessarily the whole plot of it, but more so his character on its own. Those two were kind of just side characters anyway. Although I liked Rocky. Alright, but where do we go from here? This one is the only one we can do right now. At least it would be if we didn't get even more posts. A boy with a baseball cap. And Unit 4 gone. Oh yeah. Now that I think about it, there was also that plot point of Kang Baek-ya being maybe betrayed by Unit 3. At least that's what I had in my mind. I don't know if I ever spoke about it. But I think that was the implications in the stories. Did that just close this off? Could I have done this before, but not anymore? Interesting. You know what, sure, let's go with that then. Unit 4, gone. I sat in my seat opposite the bathroom. The office felt empty. Officer Chi-yeon was still in the hospital. Lieutenant Kang had been sent to a detention center. I couldn't find out where. And Officer Min-jun, I would never be able to see him again. So I was the only one left in Unit 4. Officer Min-jun had been murdered. This case had been turned over to the Superior Investigation Agency, with Unit 3 assisting. Oh, of course they're assisting. Yesterday, people from Unit 3 had come over and taken everything that belonged to Lieutenant Kang. Fortunately, I had been prepared in advance. I had made copies of some of Lieutenant Kang's case files and reports. I also kept the red folder with files on Unit 2. The files and reports were mostly about the cases that Unit 4 had solved. Nothing too important in there. Although I did read a lot of familiar words in his reports. My words. I finally understood why he had always told me to write longer reports. He probably had not just copied my reports. It looked like he had also done the same to reports written by Officer Min-jun and Officer Chi-yeon. I shook my head, put them away, and opened the red folder. After they had taken Lieutenant Kang into custody, I had read everything in the folder multiple times. I had learned that Lieutenant Kang had been the only surviving member of the old Unit 2. The files in the folder had records of the details of Operation White Bay, which had been initiated by the previous police major. They also included every mission that Unit 2 had been involved with. Every mission had been a success, except the last one, codenamed W620. It was during that mission that almost the entire unit had been taken out. Lieutenant Kang must have been reading these files as a memorial to his former colleagues. I could still remember him crying when I saw him looking at the documents. I could also remember Officer Min-jun telling me awkward military jokes while he was reading an encyclopedia of firearms. It almost felt like everything had only happened just yesterday. I had fought so hard to be a proud member of Unit 4. I thought I would have a chance to spare with Lieutenant Kang every once in a while. I thought I would be listening to Officer Min-jun's war stories, telling me of events that had happened a long time ago on some distant islands. I thought that one day I would be fighting side by side with the three of them, all in the name of justice. It had never occurred to me that that day would never come. It had been 3 days since Officer Min-jun was murdered. I heard that they had found an unregistered Glock 43 in Lieutenant Kang's home. They had also found his fingerprints on the gun, and the barrel matched with the rifling twist patterns they had found on the bullet inside Officer Min-jun's body. The time of death had been determined to be noon of the day that we found his body. It happened to be the time when we had finished taking a drug dealer's statements, and Lieutenant Kang had just left the station a little while earlier. However, Lieutenant Kang had offered no alibi for himself. How could Lieutenant Kang have possibly done something like this? There must have been something he couldn't reveal. If only I could find out where he had been during that time. So far, that was all of the information that I had learned about the case. I had tried seeking out Lieutenant Kim multiple times, expressing my wish to help out as much as I could with the case. Although I knew that being a member of Lieutenant Kang's unit, as well as a teammate of Officer Min-jun, I didn't have any rights to be included. But as long as I could help Lieutenant Kang, I was willing to do anything, no matter what. However, Lieutenant Kim had only handed me all of the inconsequential chores of Unit 3. He wouldn't even tell me where Lieutenant Kang was being held. I was afraid that as far as they were concerned, still allowing me to come to the station was already special treatment for me. I couldn't wait any longer. I had made a decision. I was typing on the keyboard while peeking at the makeup mirror on Officer Ji-yeon's desk. I saw through the mirror that someone from Unit 3 had just entered a 4-digit passcode to open their safe. In the Criminal Investigation Division, every unit had their own safe to temporarily keep classified documents. As Lieutenant King's case was still under investigation, there must be relevant documents inside Unit 3's safe. Stealing classified documents would be something that was way beyond rule breaking. If I got caught, I didn't even know what kind of punishment would be waiting for me. Prison, probably. But as soon as I remembered Officer Min-jun's death and Lieutenant Kang being framed, I knew it was something that I had to do. This would be my justice. 7 p.m. The last person in Unit 3's office wing, Lieutenant Kim, had finally left. I stayed in my seat and kept typing on my keyboard for another 5 minutes. I didn't stop until I made sure the entire floor had no other people, and then I walked over to the safe of Unit 3. There was a basket of candies on top of the safe. I opened the door. There was nothing inside. There was nothing in the safe. Lieutenant Kim had opened the safe earlier before he left. Maybe he had taken everything inside with him. I went back to my seat, defeated. What else could I do to help Lieutenant Kang? Who else could help me now? Oh right, I should go and see Officer Ji-yeon. I hurried to the hospital, but I didn't get to see her. A nurse told me that she had checked out and left the hospital earlier that day, but I didn't have a phone number to contact her. Damn it, was there nothing else I could do? Please, Buddha, please guide me. What should I do? Chang Yong-min. Not waiting for everyone to leave and going to the hospital first instead. A boy with a baseball cap. Zuko had an exclusive and secretive business app for himself. Returning guests and people who had a referral would contact him directly on the app instead of texting some ridiculous Morse code to the number on his card. He was good. Even if the targets had somehow learned that Zuko was after them, they would never be able to guess how they would be eliminated, nor when or where it would happen. He was like a magician. Business was good, but he always referred most of the jobs to his associates. He rarely got his own hands dirty, and he never asked for a cut of the proceedings. He told me that he wasn't doing this for the money, but for information. Occasionally he would bring up some stories from the days when he had been working for Ray. A lot of them reminded me of my old days. He'd eventually made too many enemies as well, and had struggled for a while after leaving Ray. Once he was already too deep into the assassin for pay business, he realized that he had to give it his all to survive. He had also learned that information is more important than your kill count. Thanks to his connections, I was able to learn the identities of the people who had been after me. They were exactly who I had thought they would be. Yet it was practically pointless at this point. Right now my head was worth quite a fortune. If I ever showed up on the street without a disguise, someone would be gunning for me in no time. I had to move to a new place every 3 months. All of the locations were scouted in advance for me by Zuko. He was the only one who always knew where I lived. Currently, my hiding place was at Pitt Street 96. Funny enough, it was only 20 meters away from Pitt Street 99, the home base of the Black Dragon Gang. Once I'd even spotted Ray from the window. I heard that he had become the new big boss of the gang. Zuko not only helped with covering my tracks, he would also take care of me when something else went wrong. Like today. I was lying in my bed with bandages on my legs and an ice bag on my head. Zuko put a bowl of hot porridge on the nightstand. I could smell a hint of overcooked rice. Then he sank into the couch and began to peruse the 3-month-old adult magazine that he had brought over. 4 days ago, he gave me 3 big envelopes. He wasn't the kind of person who would lecture me about justice, but he had his moral preferences and he would put his preferred target on top of the pile. The first target was a greedy boss who had been stiffing his workers for 3 years. The second target was a paralyzed rich man who had been depending on his children. The third target was the boss of the newest gang, recently established in the Bay Road area. I picked the last one. and I'd gotten into an epic battle which had led to this. Don't get me wrong, I was never some kind of vigilante assassin who had the moral high ground either. I had no right to be, nor did I want to. I was merely someone who had no family, no friends, and no reason to live. And being on the edge of life and death was the only thing that could still make me feel alive. I tasted the porridge and fell asleep again. I seem to have heard the doorbell ringing, and then I heard the door open, then close. It seemed to be a package delivery. Package? Who would send me a package? I sprinted from my bed and yelled out Zuko's name. There was no response. I walked to the door of my arsenal. Every time I moved, I would turn the smallest room into a mini arsenal, enhancing it with a security door with a key padlock. Since I was moving in a few days, I had already packed all of my weapons and ammo. There was supposed to be nothing inside the room, but I saw an open delivery box just outside the security door. I entered the passcode. I didn't notice that there was someone behind me. Someone grabbed my neck from behind and choked me. I raised my left hand and stabbed my finger towards the throat of my attacker. He did a backflip and got away from me, landing precisely on the window ledge. His lowered baseball cap covered most of his face, so I could only tell that it was a slim, fit young man. "You are indeed as good as they say." No matter. My mission is done anyway. "See you never." The weird-sounding boy left me with this final word, jumped off the ledge and disappeared. I had more important matters at hand than going after him. I went back to the security door. It didn't open, even though I had entered the passcode. The only explanation was that Zuko had locked the door from the inside. He must still be in there. Why would he do that? An enormous force blew the door off its hinges, twisted it and tore it into a million burning pieces that were flying towards me. Zuko was flying in the air along with all of the debris. His neck was bent at an inconceivable angle due to the explosion. When I finally woke up in the ICU, I realized that my left arm and both of my legs were gone. I knew that I probably didn't have much time left, yet the doctor still bluntly told me the other piece of news. The man that had been found at the scene with me was already dead when the ambulance arrived. Strangely enough, when the doctor said, "I'm sorry for your loss," I wasn't really feeling too much loss. Alicia. Okay, those were two very long letters. Okay. What about this? I felt a big hand patting my back. "Hey kid, what are you doing over here?" I had heard the footsteps coming towards me, so I stood straight in front of the safe. I pretended that I had been trying to take some candy from the basket. "You have given me too much work, so I want to take some candy and relax a bit." Sure, how about we go take a bath? It should be even more relaxing." It was already after hours. The spa in the station was quite crowded. Lieutenant Kim was soon chatting and laughing with the other people that were hanging around. I stayed in a corner of the spa and didn't join the others. I remembered the time when I was in the spa with Lieutenant Kang. Maybe it was because of the steam from the spa, but I felt my eyes watering up. Okay. The door didn't open, even though I had entered the passcode. The only explanation was that Zuko had locked the door from the inside. He must still be in there. Why would he do that? I screamed his name at the door. He yelled from inside. "It's a bomb, I'll get rid of it, run!" However, there wasn't enough time. An enormous force blew the door off of its hinges, twisted it, and tore it into a million burning pieces. Yep, and the rest just continues as we were. Bad for both. What about this? Okay, that doesn't change anything. Oh, obviously. That was stupid of me. What about this? Okay, that doesn't change anything. Actually, get away from there, there's a bomb. Zuko screamed and ran towards me. He reached his hand out, trying to pull me away from the door that I had just opened. But I caught a glimpse of a box on the floor of the empty arsenal. And then The box morphed into an engulfing flame and swallowed me without the door in its way. Yep, that certainly looks bad. This belongs over there as well. Okay, this doesn't change anything for this anyway. Maybe I just have to take everything away from there. Zuko wasn't in the arsenal, nor was he in the apartment. Somewhere on the street I heard what sounded like an explosion. I ran downstairs and heard people screaming and crying in agony. There were injured people everywhere I looked. The source of all of this suffering was a small square that had just been wiped out. The food carts that sold beef balls were all gone. A dark radial scorch mark was left on the concrete in the middle of the square. But in the center of the darkness, there was nothing. There was nothing left. How about this? Before I could enter the passcode, I heard clear footsteps coming in my direction. I had no time to check who was coming, so I snuck back to my seat. I took another peek at the mirror on Officer Chion's desk, and I happened to catch Lieutenant Kim's eyes looking right back at me. I immediately looked away in a panic, lowered my head, and continued writing the non-existent report. Lieutenant Kim walked past me and into the bathroom. Someone grabbed my neck from behind and choked me. I raised my left hand. Okay. We're aware of all that. Too bad I have to kill you today. The weird-sounding man wielded 2 knives and lunged at me. I picked up a fruit knife from the table and tried to block him. We were quite even at first. Then, somewhere on the street, I heard what sounded like an explosion. My eyes involuntarily drifted to the window. I suddenly had a bad feeling. My split-second distraction had given my opponent a chance. He stabbed his 2 knife into the artery in my neck, clean and swift. Had my end finally arrived? Apparently so, yes. I don't know. Let's go for this. There was a stack of files in the safe. I quickly flipped through them. They were exactly what I had been looking for. But before I could find out where the lieutenant was being held, I heard somebody walking in my direction. I quietly closed the safe, hid the files under my jacket, and snuck into the bathroom. In the men's bathroom, there was a stall that had a window to the outside. It wasn't too big, but it was enough for an adult like me to climb out. And the back door of the station was not far away from the outside of the window. I opened the door to the stall and stepped on the toilet lid when I heard a deafening scream. A cat? I let out a scream myself and fell to the floor. The bathroom door opened. The person who had just come in was no other than Lieutenant Kim. For a moment, I even suspected that he had seen through my plan to steal the files the whole time. Lieutenant Kim pulled me up from the floor and took the files away from me. Then he said in a lowered voice, "For the sake of us having worked together for a while, I won't tell anyone about what happened today." I thought Lieutenant Kim would be saying this in an accusatory tone, but when I looked up at his face, I realized that he was actually smiling. Why would he be smiling? I couldn't figure out what he was thinking. All I could feel was a chill down my spine. Zucco grabbed me from behind and dragged me away from the door. An enormous force blew the door off of its hinges, twisted it, and tore it into a million burning pieces that were flying towards us. Zucco blocked most of the debris for me. His body had become almost unrecognizable. He was holding my hand so tight when he died. Zucco was gone. There was no funeral. A couple of his body handlers took care of everything. Blue tracksuits, white gloves, black backpacks, and a dark SUV are the trademarks of body handlers, who typically work in a 2-person team. Their first question to whomever that answers the door is, "Would you like some flowers? We have white chrysanthemums." The answer must be, "Do you have red ones?" "How many would you like?" "1. Then the duo would take out the right number of body bags from their backpacks and offer their condolences before entering the room. "Sorry for your loss." If, however, the response is incorrect, or if anyone inquires about the price of the flowers, the duo would immediately make up an excuse of having left the flowers in their car and leave the scene as soon as possible. The rules of body handlers are well known among the assassin community. Occasionally they might knock on the wrong door and run into a professional by accident. Then they might be chased off with a scolding. "I'm not looking for flowers today. If you come here again, I'm going to send flowers to your place." During the night of the full moon a few days later, I opened my fist and examined my palm under the moonlight. Zuko had given me one last small present. He had been hiding it in his hand before stuffing it into mine when he died. It was a small metal part that he had taken off the baseball boy's bomb. Okay, so that's S for her. And I guess that's gonna be S for Chang Yo Min. But before I even tried to enter a passcode, the door of the safe opened by itself. There was nothing but a note inside. It read, "Mind your own business." I went back to my seat, defeated. What else could I do to help Lieutenant Kang? Who else could help me now? Alright, I should go see Officer Ji-yeon. I hurried to the hospital, but I didn't get to see her. Yep. Alright. Still bad. Okay. Good, that means this is enough for her. No. Do we even have more options? Yes, there are still plenty. All of them have been a fail so far. Great. What am I missing? I can't put this down there. No, of course not. What have I not tried yet? Tried this. Tried this. All of these are bad. Have I tried something like this before? No. What would happen to Alicia there? Get away from there. There's a bomb. Okay. Most of them went straight into my body. Okay, that is not entirely surprising. It has to be like this if I was to get an S rank for her. Seriously though, which combination have I not tried yet? Open door, enter passcode. Enter passcode, open door. That is irrelevant. Open door, nothing inside. Nothing inside, open door? I mean, that's what I do here. What's the combination I'm missing still? No, it just looks like I'm trying randomly here. What if I just randomly push something from here over to the other side that doesn't actually change anything? Just get rid of something here. Not that. What about this? Okay. It's at least a new combination. Zuko grabbed me from behind and dragged me away from the door that I just opened. But I caught a glimpse of a box on the floor of the empty arsenal. And then, boom. The box morphed into an engulfing flame. Yep. Okay. The door didn't open as I had hoped. That was strange. Had I misremembered the passcode? No, not possible. I had recorded the passcode yesterday. I'd even checked twice today when someone else was opening the safe. Did you forget about mirroring it? The last person to use the safe was Lieutenant Kim. Had he noticed my plan and changed the passcode? That's also possible. I went back to my seat, defeated. What else could I do to help Lieutenant Kang? Yeah, should go. Took a cab and hurried to the hospital, but didn't get to see her. Yep. So that's a bad for both of them. There's now only one option left. I've done all of them for her as well. So literally the only thing I can do is get the right combination of these three. But what is it? What is it? Or is that dependent on some other message? I thought it wasn't. I mean, it tells me this is important. I don't know why. Let me just try. Open the doors at the top. I'll just try every combination. Nothing inside, enter the passcode. Swap these two. Doesn't work. Put something else up top. Enter the passcode. Swap these two. Doesn't work. Which of these two did I try before? Was it? Okay, then let me just one more time check out these. Okay, none of them work. Sure. Go on, show me hints. There was nothing in the safe. So? Oh. Before I even try to enter a passcode, the door of the safe opened by itself. It's still bad. Now there's no hints anymore. Ugh. It kind of has to be... There has to be something like this. Did that the other way. Okay, yeah, I tried that before. What about this? That's bad for both of them. What about this? Also bad. 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 I don't get it. I've tried every combination. There can't be anything left that I haven't tried. I can put this over there, but that takes the S away from her. You know what? No, I have tried every single ending for her. This is the only one that's an S. I think the parts in red are telling me what's wrong, what's the problem with the story, or this ending of the story. And it says there's nothing wrong with this. And I mean, just from reading it, I didn't think that was particularly wrong. I mean, it obviously didn't go quite as he had hoped, but it looked interesting to learn more about. But I have tried everything. So you know what? I will look it up. I will try not to see... I'll try not to see a solution in and of itself. The only thing I want to know, basically, is if there has been talks about it online. If I find something, then it probably means there is something hidden that I'm not thinking about. But I'll be back in a bit. Okay. I have been told, well, the problem. Mainly, this orange thing, wherever it is, Jesus Christ, that letter was really long. This orange thing tells me that I need to solve a different letter before this one. Mainly one from Spotty that I haven't unlocked yet. And I apparently need to solve this before I can unlock that letter. The problem with this is... Wait, is there a problem? Yeah, this is connected to this. So I need to solve these two first before I can continue on this path. But I'll do that next time. I've recorded for a long time already now. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.